Well, at least it's over now. Deshaun Watson has been suspended for 6 games to start the 2022 season. I think that's something all of us had in the back of our minds. It's something that we all sort of saw coming, but maybe we wanted to dodge the truth a little bit. But I, for one, am happy that at least we can start moving on to the Week 1 Jacoby Brissett plan and actually begin to really put this behind us and get ready for football. Matthew Peterson from Chat Sports here, welcoming you all to our live Good Morning Cleveland Browns Report edition, because Sue Robinson made her decision on a 6-game suspension for Deshaun Watson, and now we can really begin to move forward and talk about real football. But what is your one-word reaction to the Watson suspension? As we let the audience trickle in here, everyone find their seats, get their kegs and eggs going this morning, we're going to start fielding questions, and then we're going to jump into a full breakdown of this. But before I want to get everyone involved in the show, give me your one-word reaction. We'll be giving some shout-outs here as we let that audience build up. All right. Brandon says happy. So here's how I'm going to put it. If I told you back in March the Browns are going to trade for Deshaun Watson, but he'll be suspended 6 games, every single person is very excited. There is a hole in the ceiling from where they jumped through it because of this news. Now, of course, over the last, as Andrew Barry may have called it, odyssey of 5 months, I think all of us have gone through a we've all become investigative journalists. We've all gone through a lot of emotions of what this could look like. And ultimately, 6 games, that's sort of where we started. We didn't go that far, right? We may have been led down different paths of could be low as 2 games, could be an indefinite suspension. But the NFL and Watson's camp could not reach a settlement, which is looking like a good thing, because last I heard, the NFL would not go below a 12-game settlement with Watson. So props to Deshaun Watson's camp for holding on, and the NFLPA deciding we're not going to appeal this decision before it was even dropped, which to me kind of signaled they were not expecting a huge suspension, and they're happy to roll with 6 games. Now, we'll see if the NFL wants to appeal this decision. They've got 3 days to do so. I don't expect him to do that. Why bring in this new form of arbitration or whatnot just to appeal it and send it to Goodell like how it always was, right? That doesn't seem like there's much progress being made right there on the decision front. Let's give some more shout-outs, though. Anthony says Super Bowl. Jared saying not bad, all right? Wolfstein, always appreciate seeing you in the comments. Kind of odd you got the amount of games, which was Baker. So I thought that same thing driving in this morning was you moved down from number 6 to get a 6-game suspension, and it's going to be Jacoby Brissett for 6 games. Yeah, but it's going to be, like, now we know for sure. It's Brissett versus Baker week 1. So I think half of the storyline now is, all right, Deshaun Watson, but let's start talking about this guy, Jacoby Brissett. What is your confidence level? We'll get that spelled correctly for you guys. Jeremy's a little early. We're all early this morning, okay? We're all a little early. Confidence level in Jacoby Brissett. Scale it for me 1 to 10. I'm not going to stand up here and act like Jacoby Brissett is this Hall of Fame backup quarterback. He's a backup quarterback. Now, as far as backups go, I think he's a top-tier backup, right? I think he's on the Mount Rushmore of 2022 backup quarterbacks. But he is a backup quarterback. So in my opinion, you always want your backups to go 500. With how talented this roster is for 6 games, I'm eyeing 4-2. We're going to look at the schedule. We're going to break it all down. But get your confidence levels in. Brissett versus Darnold week 1. Now, I think Baker's going to win the job. He's had an ugly start to training camp, but it's only August now. We've got plenty of time. There's over a month till week 1. Baller says 7. Muniz says 5 or 6. He's not bad, but he's not good. Yeah, a lot of people call him serviceable. Like, that's one of the ultimate backup cliches out there, and it's kind of what he is, right? He is a serviceable backup. All right, while you guys get those confidence levels in, we give more shout-outs here. Omar says 6. Josh says 6. Westside says with this team around him at 8. Super chat coming in from my guy Michael. Always appreciate you supporting the show. This is one of the MVPs of the Browns Report. If you want to be an MVP of the show, really simple. You just hit that super thanks chat icon, and boom, you get to be on show like my friend Michael here. So use hashtag Browns or super chat. We're going to have some Q&A, some mailbags, an opportunity for you guys to ask some questions, get on screen, answer all your questions, break all this down. But we need you to use hashtag Browns or you super chat. That way our producer, Jeremy, Marshall's still asleep this morning, so everyone get up for Jeremy Chuggs. He was the only producer who woke up with me at 7 o'clock this morning, so give it up for Jeremy Chuggs. But, use hashtag Browns or super chat to get on screen.
Yeah.
All right.
Marshall's more of a post 9 a.m. kind of guy.
Marshall, to be honest, he's a post 9:30 o'clock in the morning, not even 9 a.m. He's going to walk in, he'll be like, so we have any news this morning? Like, you think? All right, but let's get some more shout-outs here. Frank, he's in a better situation here than when he was on the Colts, but the main key to winning these games and opening up the pass for Brissett, we need to have a good run game. No doubt about that, right? That's kind of, yin and yang of football right there. You got to run the football to pass the football. Now, he's in a better situation because it's a better team, but Jacoby Brissett has always been the type of quarterback who's just, let's not push the ball. Let's not turn it over. Let's hold on to it probably a second longer than maybe you would like. That's kind of why he is a backup quarterback, right? He's never going to push the envelope, put on the Superman cape, and lead these awesome drives down the field. Now, when he was with the Colts, and we've got some stats on that we can throw on screen actually, he went 7-8. But if memory serves me correct, that 2019 season, that was the year Vinatieri sucked. Remember that? And cost the Colts a lot of games. Remember when he was like, oh, this is when you had Vinatieri for 1 year too long. It's like the old Bill Belichick saying, rather get rid of a player 1 year too early than 1 year too late. So Vinatieri sunk the Colts that year. Brissett went 7-8 as a starter back in 2019. Those stats are fine. Nearly 3,000 yards. Like I said, he'll protect the football. 18 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Now, I want to throw this question at you guys before we jump into this. Do you think the Browns should go out and add another quarterback? Because Jake Trotter just took him 10 minutes once the news broke to tweet out, Jimmy Garoppolo? Not for 6 games. I've talked a lot about Jimmy G on the show, and I only went down that path if it was a extremely lengthy suspension. 6 games? I'll roll with Brissett. Jimmy G is coming off shoulder surgery, so, how ready would he be by week 1? Plus, you're going to fly him in. He's going to be way behind Brissett in terms of picking up this playbook. Now, there's no doubt Garoppolo is better than Brissett, right? In a perfect world, you pick Jimmy G over Brissett, Brian Windhorst, every single time. But it's not a perfect world. So, for that reason, more inclined to lean towards Brissett. Now, there are some arguments to be made, and I think they're kind of straw man arguments of, Jimmy G has got a huge cap hit. Yeah, it's got $24 million salary cap this year, cap hit, but that's going to be restructured once he gets traded. He's going to play for more like 10-ish million, my guess. So I wouldn't look at 24 and go, the Browns are going to pay him 24. No team's paying him $24 million. No team's going to trade for him if he's $24 million. The Niners already gave Jimmy Garoppolo and his agent permission to go seek a trade, which basically means wink, wink, no one wants your money. So you go find a trade partner and you make a new contract and restructure it yourself because it ain't going to work at $24 million. All right, we get some more shout-outs coming here. Everett, pretty good team from week 1 to 6. Yeah, let's actually throw the schedule 1 through 6 on the screen, Jeremy, and look at what Deshaun Watson is going to be missing in the Jacoby Brissett show. I believe week 1 at Panthers, that's a win with Jacoby Brissett. Now, the NFL after that, we know it is the NFL. You really cannot go on paper and go, week 5, so much can change. You have no idea who is going to be starting or playing by week 5. But I'll go out on a limb and go, just for the sake of predicting things, because that's what we love to do as sports fans, week 1 at Panthers, give me a win. Week 2, eke it out versus the Jets. I think the Jets are going to be sneaky good this year. Week 3 versus the Steelers, home Thursday night football. I'll take Brissett. Look at it this way. It's Baker or Darnold week 1. Zach Wilson week 2. Mitch Trubisky or Pickett week 3. Mariota week 4. Those aren't really unbeatable quarterbacks. Now, I will say this, and this is going to get me laughed at, but I think it's kind of, unfortunately, some criminally true here. If the Browns do start 3-0, I have a horrible feeling they'll lose a letdown game at Atlanta week 4. That would be the most Brown. Well, no, it's not the most Browns thing to start 3-0, but to beat the Steelers and then to be like, all right, let's start looking to the Chargers right now, and they fall short against Atlanta. But I think you need Jacoby Brissett to go 3-3 minimum. I personally would expect this team to go 4-2 under Jacoby Brissett with the winnable schedule, right? There's no reason why you can't start off 4-0 if you just do the paper, our roster versus your roster. The Browns have a better roster, even with Jacoby Brissett as a starting quarterback, against all first 4 teams. But the NFL is the NFL. Things happen. Didn't make sense why the Browns lost to the Jets back in 2020 in week 14, 15, but it just happened. But we got Super Chat coming in from my friend Tyler Becker. Yeah, but we just want to get it on screen, so we'll break this down for you during the mailbag, Tyler. But do you think if Brissett goes 3-3, we take off with Watson and go 11-6, or even 12-5 if they really take off? So I think something that a little bit, like all of us are getting a little too drunk on is, well, when Deshaun Watson comes back, this team's going undefeated. Deshaun Watson's a very, very good quarterback, but he is not like Tom Brady. So 3-3, you expect him to lose 3 more games with Watson? I think that's very much in the reach. Yeah, 11-6. 12-5. That sounds like it's in the room. Like I think 11-6 is probably a little bit more attainable because when Deshaun Watson returns, his first 2 games at Baltimore, home against the Bengals. Like even if Watson played the first 6 games, I'm not saying those are absolute wins. The Browns have a better team than both those teams, but we're talking about week 7 and week 8. It ain't easy to predict that stuff in the first day of August, right? So much is going to change. I guarantee you the 22 starters for both teams right now are not going to be the 22 starters back by week 7, week 8. But I think you're right, Tyler. You're on the right train of thought of 11-6, 12-5. I think you got to get to 11 wins with how stacked the AFC is this year, because 10 wins might not do it. We have seen 10-win teams miss the playoffs as of late, right? So we got to get that now. Now, we got to get more questions in, so use hashtag Browns. What we're going to do is we're going to run through the Watson news here, and then we're going to get to a mailbag after that. So make sure you use hashtag Browns or Super Chat like my friends Michael and Tyler have already done. It might be a little bit early for me to start taking shots here, and I also don't know if I don't know if it's like shot worthy to for Deshaun Watson getting suspended 6 games, like celebrating this much. But yeah, use the Super Chat feature to get yourself on screen. Now, make sure to like today's video. We got nearly 300 people watching. We got 34 likes. Pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers. Let's get to 60 likes. Make sure you hit that thumbs up icon if you have not already. Would greatly appreciate it. That way this video just goes out to more Browns fans on YouTube so they can come in, join the fun, get the news, get the updates, and join the Q&A. We got 50 likes already. There we go. Let's shoot 52. Come on. Let's get to 60. And then, yeah, bingo.
So, we got it. We got it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got them. All right, let's jump into it. Jeremy, we ready? We're going to run through. I'll let you steer the ship here. Let's definitely hit. Yeah, so let's we'll get the list 6 and then the list 8. I want to use all 3 list 10, all 3 listicles. Yeah, we'll get them all. Get them all. Okay. We ready, Jeremy, to jump into the Deshaun Watson suspension news? All right, getting the green light from the man in the air traffic control tower. So, Deshaun Watson has been suspended 6 games. Let's unpack it. Deshaun Watson has been suspended 6 games by Judge Sue Robinson. Matthew Peterson from the Cleveland Browns Report here at Chat Sports, breaking all of this down, plus looking at the new quarterback in Cleveland for the first 6 weeks of the season, Jacoby Brissett. We've got a lot to unpack on today's show. This has been a day all Browns fans have been waiting for. Whether it's good or bad news, I think we can all agree at least the news is out. And at least we can finish speculating on what the suspension is going to be and the roller coaster and twists and turns of this story. Now, before we really jump into this breakdown here, I want you guys to get involved in the show. I want you to be the chat in Chat Sports. What is your one-word reaction to the Watson suspension? Expected, happy, upset, whatever it is, light up the comment section down below. Now, like everyone watching, maybe you heard it from a YouTube push notification from the Browns report, but the news came in from Adam Schefter. Former federal judge Sue L. Robinson has found that Deshaun Watson violated the personal conduct policy and has suspended him 6 games. A lot to break down there. I think the first thing we're going to note is that the NFLPA and the NFL can appeal this decision from Sue Robinson. Now, the NFLPA came out yesterday and said, we're not going to appeal it no matter what it is. We have to wait for the NFL. Is 6 games enough for them? Or are they going to appeal this, send it to Roger Goodell, and he might tack on more games? I'm predicting they're not going to appeal it. What kind of precedent does that set? If the first case like this under the new CBA, you just revert back to the old ways and appeal it to Goodell, that doesn't seem like we're moving forward at all. And I also think it's important to note that this was put down because of the owners, who, by the way, are Goodell's boss. They're not going to be very happy if the thing they push for, which is an arbitrator, just gets bypassed the first time they use it. Now, I think there's another interesting tweet I want to share here from Tom Pelissero that is relatively important to Deshaun Watson. So, Deshaun, if you're watching this, I'm sure you've heard. So the discipline for Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson, pending a possible NFL appeal, 6-game suspension, no additional fines. That's also important to note. The NFL is not going to, or she decided not to fine him, Sue Robinson, for the games that he sat out last year with the Texans and was not fined for. Robinson's decision also requires no massages other than directed by club personnel and no adverse involvement with no law enforcement. So an interesting wrinkle to the suspension. Not only 6 games, but no more going to strip malls and going and get massages from whoever you want. It's got to be under the guidance of the team. So that's pretty important for Deshaun right there. But let's look at the first 6 games of this season, because this is going to be Jacoby Brissett's team for weeks 1 through 6. At Carolina against Baker, most likely. I don't think Darnold's going to win that job. But week 2 is going to be the home debut against the Jets. We've been talking about the 6, 8, whatever X amount of game suspension it could have been for a while. I think all of us were pretty confident that if it's 6 games, Jacoby Brissett minimum should be able to go 3-3. I mean, just looking at the schedule right now, if you want to compare rosters paper to paper, the Browns are only going to be underdogs probably in 1.5 games. Like the Chargers, no doubt, even with Deshaun Watson, it's not a slam dunk win. This is a Super Bowl roster Chargers team like the Browns, but they've got a good squad there in LA. Patriots, that was an ass kicking last year, but I think the Patriots got worse this year. But still, you never want to count on beating Bill Belichick. But I think 4-2 is in the cards for Jacoby Brissett. I predicted a 6-game Watson suspension yesterday. I put my money where my mouth is. I'll say Brissett goes 4-2. Starts off 3-0. Letdown game against the Falcons, because that would just be the most cruel thing ever to Browns fans. And then week 5, lose against the Chargers and probably lose against the Patriots. That's kind of what I'm feeling right there. Now, speaking of Jacoby Brissett, what is your confidence level in him? Scale 1 to 10. This is going to be today's pinned comment. So if YouTube puts an ad break right when I'm done talking, take advantage of it. Put a number down below. Let's check out some of Jacoby Brissett's stats. So going back to 2019, that's the last time he played as a starter for a full season, essentially. Started 15 games for the Colts, went 7-8. Those are backup quarterback stats. I don't want anyone to be misguided here. Jacoby Brissett is a very good backup quarterback. Keyword backup, though. For all backup quarterbacks, he's on the Mount Rushmore of 2022 NFL backup QBs. But let's not be misguided here and act like Jacoby Brissett is going to be in Canton, Ohio for his backup quarterback role. He's a good backup, but he is a backup quarterback. Last year for the Dolphins, he made 5 starts in Miami when Tua got hurt. He also came in for a couple games, but I don't think it's all that fair to him to use stats from a game he entered in the third quarter when he just got tossed in the fire. But when he had a whole week of practice to prepare to start, that's what he produced. 5 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He's going to hold on to the football. He's not going to turn it over that much. And that's something that Stefanski will be delighted to see. Unlike last year where Mayfield pushed the envelope one too many times, right? That Packers game. Brissett He's not that kind of risk taker. He's going to hold on to the football, probably a second too long, and it's going to come at a price of not, missing out on plays and whatnot. But ultimately, I think this is going to be a good opportunity for Jacoby Brissett and the Browns to show, under these circumstances, he can be a very serviceable backup. He can step in and he can go 4-2. I think that's very much in the cards. Now, 4-2, I think puts you on a good course to stay competitive in the AFC. Because the AFC is going to be tough this year. There's no doubt about that. But for Deshaun Watson to return Week 7 at Baltimore and then make his home debut Week 8 against the Cincinnati Bengals on Halloween night, that's going to be fun. It's never going to be easy playing the Ravens, home or away. But you got to envision that Ravens game. It's going to be Jim Nantz and Tony Romo. Tony Romo is going to be, he'll have to have his pants changed mid-game after Deshaun Watson, the magician, makes another amazing play here. Now, I do believe that the Browns can, put up still a great season, even if Jacoby Brissett does start the first 6 weeks. Before we get to more analysis and breakdown here, I invite you all to subscribe to the channel. If you're coming across this for the first time, or you have, a little iffy on whether or not you should hit that sub button, 24/7 Browns news and rumors coverage, because guess what? Not many other YouTube channels are waking up with you guys at 7, 8, 9 o'clock in the morning on a Monday, breaking down the Deshaun Watson news, getting live for you. So make sure you click that subscribe button and get locked in for the best Browns coverage out there on YouTube by going to youtube.com/Browns Report, or even simpler than that, just clicking that sub button. I think it's important to note the difference between Baker versus Brissett in terms of what Baker did last year for the Browns and what Jacoby Brissett did back in 2019. Because if the Browns were able to go 6-8 last year with that kind of production from Baker, with Jacoby Brissett, they should be able to go 500 or better with 18 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. I would still take Baker over Brissett. I'm not saying Jacoby Brissett's a better quarterback, but an injured Baker versus a healthy Brissett might still lean a little bit towards Baker in terms of like a whole season. But for 6 games, I'll ride with Brissett, right? That's fine with me. Now, some more Deshaun Watson news I think it's important to get across here. Watson can play and practice with the team during training camp and the preseason. He can return to the team facility after week 3. So he, once the season starts, will not be hanging out, will not be in Berea for the first 3 weeks of the season. But after week 3, he can return to the team, return to the facility, practice and whatnot. So he'll be able to start getting ready with the team for the first for that Falcons game. Now, what will be interesting to see though, what does Stefanski do for the preseason? Does he play Watson during the preseason? Stefanski has earned an MO of not wanting to see much starters play in preseason and risk an injury. We're also talking about a quarterback who didn't play last year. Inevitably, he's got to get some rust off, and he's got to get up to speed on Cleveland Browns football and this new team and new playbook and all that. So it'll be very interesting to see how the Browns practice today. What's the splits going to look like between Brissett and Watson, right? Will it be 60-40 Brissett? 50-50? That's something I'm going to keep an eye on for, no doubt about it. Let's look at the Browns schedule one more time, except just the 10 games, and now we get to see the handoff of Brissett for the first 6 weeks. Week 7 will be Deshaun Watson's debut at Baltimore. Week 8, home debut against the Bengals. That's a Monday Night Football game on Halloween. They get the bye after that, and then Week 10, they go down to Miami. Now, you might notice kind of the teeth of the schedule is with Deshaun Watson. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb and say, it's not even a limb. I'm going to go out and say the NFL probably saw this coming back when the schedule dropped a couple months ago, and they wanted Deshaun Watson to play for the Bills and for the Bucs game later in the season against Brady and Josh Allen. So I think it's very deliberate that the NFL decided, let's put some of those big, TV games later on in the season and not have it loaded with Jacoby Brissett in week 4 when we could be making a ton of money off that game later on. But now that the news is out and Jacoby Brissett is the starter for the first 6 weeks of the season, what are your Browns record predictions? I'm going to go with 11-6. I think that's probably in the cards for the Browns this season. I think if Jacoby Brissett goes 3-3, 4-2, the Browns are still very much alive. It's going to be tough AFC this year, but I think the expectations are still playoffs, right? I don't want to see people in January go, well, you also had to Brissett for the first 6 weeks. Yeah, this roster is one of the best rosters, if not top 5 in the NFL. They should be able to go 3-3, 4-2 with Brissett, which is very fine for Deshaun Watson to step in and take this team to the playoffs. Follow me on Twitter, by the way, if you are looking for more Browns Twitter coverage at Matthew Petey. Quick shameless plug right there. Trying to grow my Twitter followers right there. So help me out by following me at Twitter at Matthew Petey. Let's get some shout-outs. Baller says 12-5. Mr. G, 4-2 with Brissett, 12-5 total. Yeah, that sounds pretty fair to me. Mike says 4-2 overall, 10-7. 10-7, I don't know if that all right, 10-7 is not a guarantee to make the playoffs, in my opinion. Rest in peace, Bill Russell. Yeah, that's also very true. All right, David says 12-5. Josh says 11-6. One thing I'm curious about is this is, crystal ball time here, but AFC North, what's that race going to look like when Watson returns? Because I could see the Bengals having a bit of a Super Bowl hangover. I think the Steelers are going to suck. And I think the Ravens are going to bounce back quite well this year as they're going to return healthy. But still, teams stumble out of the gates sometimes. So if the Browns are 3-3 and the Ravens are 4-2, put it that way, right? Browns 3-3, Ravens 4-2, Deshaun Watson returns, winner is the leader of the AFC North. All of a sudden you come back, you are in the driver's seat that first game for Deshaun Watson returning. You beat the Ravens. You're now 4-3, same record as Baltimore. You already have half of the tiebreaker as you won game 1 of 2. The next time it's going to be at First Energy Stadium. I think the Browns can very nicely position themselves to still be very much in control, even if Brissett starts 6 games. I think, of course, what you miss out on is it could have been 5-1 with Deshaun Watson, right? You could have just lost the Chargers game, for example, or a letdown game against the Patriots. It's the NFL. You missed out on having a phenomenal start. Now, instead of having a head start, you're kind of even with everyone else a little bit here. So get your record predictions in. We got a super chat coming in here. Dom saying if there's no injuries, we should win the AFC North. Yeah, I wouldn't argue too much against that, but difficult to predict that stuff way ahead. Shout out to Zach Schaefer. Really appreciate the super chat. Thank you so much for donating to the show. Always see you during our live shows, which, by the way, are every single Thursday. If you're watching our first live Browns Report today and you want more action like this, you can join us every single Thursday, 4 p.m. Eastern. That's what she said. And never miss out on a live Cleveland Browns Report.
Zach said, my dad is being weird and is not listening to you guys. Yeah,
your dad is being all right. Dad's sketch for sure. Your dad go get milk and cigarettes too? I mean, it is concerning.
Russian agent? What's the deal?
Here you go, Everett. All right, Chargers are a great team. Yeah, the Chargers are a good team, Everett. I agree. Jason, do you think the NFL appeals? So you're asking questions. Use hashtag Browns because our software, it needs the hashtag Browns to send it to the computer, and we can put it on screen. Otherwise, producer Jeremy has to dive into, if you ever watch Stranger Things, it's like going to the upside down. It's a mess down there if you don't use hashtag Browns. So don't do that to Jeremy. Use hashtag Browns to get your questions in. I don't think the NFL appeals, though, Jason Kimball. Dr. Richard Kimball. No, I don't think the NFL will appeal. What's the point of adding arbitration in this whole new process under the CBA if you just want to bypass it by appealing to the Goodell? All right, we got a super chat coming in. Then we're going to jump into a mailbag. So if you got some questions on what all this means and how all this is going to work, make sure you use hashtag Browns or super chat to get your question on screen. All right, we want to show Mark's super chat now. I'll put it on.
We're going to start the mailbag with
Okay. All right, here we go. So let's jump into a Cleveland Browns mailbag. Welcome into the Cleveland Browns Report. Today's mailbag is being filmed bright and early Monday morning following the Deshaun Watson news. So we're going to answer questions coming out of that regarding Watson and, of course, the new king of Cleveland for at least 6 weeks, Jacoby Brissett. So we'll start today's show by answering some questions from our loyal and MVP subscribers here at the channel. Super chats like from Tyler Becker, who asked, do you think if Brissett goes 3-3, we take off with Watson and can go 11-6, or even 12-5 if they really take off? Well, we can throw the Browns' first 10 games of their season up on the screen to see what the handoff is going to be like. Because I think with Jacoby Brissett for the first 6 weeks, 3-3 is the floor. I think 4-2 is what you're shooting for, right? I don't think you should be too lofty and ask for 5-1 or 6-0, but this team is talented enough with Jacoby Brissett to beat the Panthers, the Jets, the Steelers, the Falcons. I mean, that's 4-2 right there. Now, asking a team to start 4-0 in football as a backup quarterback is a tall order. So if you want to swap one of those wins out and beat the Patriots later, or somehow upset the Chargers necessarily, I still think 4-2, but at minimum 3-3. Watson comes in week 7, and then to go back to Tyler's question, yeah, I think 11-6 is very much in the cards for the Browns once the transition takes place from Brissett back to Watson. Question coming in from my guy Mark Kahn. 12-5, use all running back in wishbone or power eye. This sounds like good old Friday Night Lights. We're not throwing the football. Listen, the Browns have the best running back stable in the NFL. When Dearness Johnson is your running back 3, and he would be an RB1 for, I would say, a handful of teams. I mean, not all the teams, but a handful of teams. Yeah, you could definitely run your way to a lot of wins, but the NFL, it doesn't work that way anymore. You have to be able to pass the football, or else the Browns would have done that last year and avoided a major letdown season. So I think 12-5 is still very much in the reach for the Browns here, but they got to be able to find a way to still move the football downfield through the air. But let me ask this question for you guys here. Do you think the Browns should go out and add another quarterback, right? I am in camp of, no, ride with Jacoby Brissett. This is why you brought him on, was you suspected about a 6-game suspension. And at the end of all this, we ended right around where we started, which was a 6-game suspension. So don't go out and get Jimmy Garoppolo. No, ride with Brissett. He's been with the Browns all offseason long. He knows the playbook better than anyone else right now. Do not throw a wrench in here and change things in the middle of the start of training camp. Next question coming in, another super chat from Mr. Slendy. Isn't it a kick in the nuts that we finally have a Super Bowl caliber team, but the AFC is so stacked it feels like the path to win it all is as hard as ever? Yeah, I agree that it's not fair that the Browns got super good the same year that the AFC took a ton of steroids and the freaking Jets and Dolphins are going to be tough outs this year, right? I mean, it's not fair that those two things happen the same year, but got to roll with the punches, right? Kick in the nuts, but this Browns team, I mean, our roster is better than 30 other teams, right? I think the Bills have the Browns beat. Maybe the Chargers too. And I think the Rams are going to be a letdown team. The Packers, the Bucks are right there, but they're top 5 guys. And Deshaun Watson, when he comes back and inherits a 3-3 or 4-team team, the rest of the league is going to be like, all right, the Browns just hit that super button and they're about to go to the moon. Not Dogecoin moon, but we're going to Jupiter or Venus. All right, quick super chat. We'll throw it on screen here. Appreciate the donation, Sean. Thank you so much for donating the show, along with Josh. We got some more questions to get to, so let's jump into it. Corey Childs asking, can the Browns make the playoffs this year when Deshaun Watson returns from his suspension? This is just peak fans, right? We just want someone to tell us yes. So, Corey, I'll tell you yes, right? I think we're all just want to have positive affirmation and be told the Browns can make the playoffs after a Jacoby Brissett 6-game stint to start the year. I think if you're 3-3 or 4-2, even if it was Deshaun Watson who started and the team got off to a 4-2 start or a 3-3 start, you wouldn't count yourself out for that. I think what's going to be a little bit more challenging, though, than maybe most people are expecting is I don't think Deshaun Watson's going to waltz in here week 7 and be Superman and just have no rust and be ready to roll. Having your first game be against the Ravens, a notorious tough team, it's not an ideal debut. I'd rather play against the Jets that week, so it might take a week or two and, be like this. Next question. How rusty do you think Watson will be by week 7? I mean, like, let's be honest here. The guy didn't play football last year. Now, luckily, he's been looking great through training camp. There has not been much talk or chat. I mean, I've been watching all the highlights coming out of Berea. He has looked the part so far. But it's also training camp and preseason. Players get rusty. That's just a fact. When they don't play for that long, you can't expect them to just come back week 7 and look like how they finished in 2020 for Deshaun Watson, right? I think there will be a certain level of rust. What I'm curious to see is, does Stefanski try to knock some of that rust off by playing Deshaun Watson during the preseason games, which he can do, by the way. Deshaun Watson, despite being suspended for the first 6 regular season games, is not suspended for the preseason. So that will be something to monitor, no doubt about it. So keep a look for that going. Now, we've got more questions to answer in just a moment, but make sure you subscribe to us not only here on YouTube, but on Rumble as well, because Rumble has an awesome feature for the Dog Pound. If you guys want to do audio only, have just the show going in the background while you're on Twitter or you're texting, you can do that. When you go to rumble.com/Browns Report, follow us over there, get more Browns content, plus more ways to support the show. Make sure you check us out, rumble.com/Browns Report. Links in the comments and the description of today's show. Pac-Man's Army with the next question. If Jacoby gets injured, what do you think our record will be then? That's bad. That won't be good. If Jacoby Brissett gets injured, I don't know in this, hypothetical how many games that would miss, but no, it would not be ideal. Josh Dobbs, I think, is where you go and draw the line, or Josh Rosen, whatever you fancy. It's not going to be pretty even with how good the rest of this roster is. So I won't even go down that rabbit hole, but not good. All right, next question coming in from IMIJ36. Need 12 wins to make the playoffs this year minimum. I think that's a little high. 10 has always been the number where you can see teams getting screwed out. The Dolphins went 10-7 last year, or 2 years ago. They didn't make it. There was another team last year that went 10 wins and missed the playoffs. I'll probably think of their name in 30 minutes when it's pointless. But 12 wins, no, I think 11 you're comfortably in still. 12, I think, is an absolute no-doubter. Question coming in from Echo Foxtrot. Did we still win the Watson trade? Yeah, I would say absolutely so, right? If I told everyone watching right now that the Browns are going to get Deshaun Watson, but he's going to miss the first 6 games of the season back in March, we all take that deal every time, right? It's deal, right? It is, yeah, Howie Mandel will take that briefcase. But now that and we've had 3-4 months pretty much to simmer on no twist the regression line, which was 6 games. But who won the trade still? I think it's a no-doubter here. I think the Houston Texans are upset that they could not put together a competent enough franchise to hold on to a franchise quarterback for 15-plus years. So give me the Cleveland Browns every single day of the week. Mr. G, what's your 7 AFC playoff teams? All right, good question. There are only, I would say, 2 teams, by the way, in the NFL who I think are not in the AFC, who are not in the running, the Texans and the Jags. I think you can make the case for pretty much every single other team. So here we go. I'll start in the AFC West. I'll go with the Chiefs, and I'll say the Chargers or like the Broncos. One of those 2 teams right there. AFC South, just the winner, and I think it's going to be the Colts. That's 3 teams right there. AFC East, I'll take the Bills, and probably another wild card team, maybe the Dolphins. I mean, that roster's loaded, but I'll go with the Bills for now. And then the AFC North, actually, I'll put the Bills and I'll take the Dolphins. And then I'll go AFC North, I'll take the Browns, probably the Ravens. I think the Bengals are the Super Bowl hangover letdown team. Last year, it was fun for Joe Burrow to say, F it. Jamar Chase is down there somewhere. NFL defenses are pretty good to adjusting to things. I think they're going to, really lock down. I'm not saying Jamar Chase is not going to be good this year, but he may not be the F it, Jamar's down there somewhere type of player and bail them out of situations. All right, Anthony with our next question on the show. What do you think of the trash talk on the field will affect on Deshaun of name call? This is like Madge name calling him. They're both, they're grown men. I'm not going to be all that concerned with trash talking coming his way. we've been doing it to Ben Roethlisberger, so, I mean, don't throw stones if you live in a glass house, right? So I think Deshaun Watson is going to be well prepared for this right now. All right, another question coming in. Last one for this mailbag. Everett Whitman, what will Fantasy League do with Deshaun Watson? Fantasy football, I bet he'll get drafted round 10 through 13-ish. I don't think anyone's going to want to take him that much earlier for missing 6 weeks because, I mean, fantasy football is 18 weeks in football, 17 weeks in fantasy. You have 13 weeks of regular season. It's about half the weeks he'll be out for. I don't know how worthy a top 10 round pick, someone who's going to miss the first 6 weeks. And also at a quarterback position, you can always find, like, for example, Trevor Lawrence will be my guy this year. I'm going to get him late. Don't be in my league, and he's going to be awesome. Make sure you follow me on Twitter, by the way, at MatthewPD for more Browns coverage. Already appreciate all of you guys that are giving me a follow over there. But if you have not already, would greatly appreciate if you did so. That link's in the comments and the description of today's show. So check me out at MatthewPD over on the Bird app. All righty, let's jump into some more questions here before we get into our final mailbag. Use hashtag Browns or Super Chat if you liked what you just saw and now you're like, well, I got a question. I want to get on screen. Really simple stuff. Hashtag Browns, that'll get the job done. Now, do the Browns need to add another quarterback? I don't believe they should entertain a Jimmy Garoppolo trade.
Also, PD, we have some trolls in the comments.
We got trolls?
Audio is fine.
Oh, no.
We've heard this joke before. We've done the song and dance. No audio.
Who tried? Snakes? Oh, damn, Snake. Oh, you hate to see it.
Ricochet TV.
Ricochet TV.
I am
no audio, Dreadbull. Dreadbull, you always watch.
I am J36. If you have an audio bug, refresh your page. You're right.
Yeah, that's why I don't look down. It's eyes on the camera during the show. You can't get me with that kind of stuff.
Good try. Not this time.
Okay, Jay Buckeye, did you really just hype T-Law in fantasy? Yeah, I think Trevor Lawrence, God, is that really a horrible take? I think he's going to be very good this year. He does not have Urban Meyer there. Doug Peterson's a very good, competent, offensive-minded coach. Yeah, I'm going to take Trevor Lawrence. Do take fantasy football advice from me. Now, as for adding up a quarterback, the Steelers will have to play musical chairs with Tiny Hands and Mitch Magic. Yeah. Hey, by the way, producer Jeremy today runs our Steelers channel. If you hate the Pittsburgh Steelers, let's let him hear F Pitt down in the comment section. A growing staple, a growing food group staple of the Browns Report here. F Pitt, get it in the comment section if you hate the Pittsburgh Steelers. Cannot stay in that team. There's a reason why every single person moved out of that city 100 years ago, and now they just wave their stupid towels from coast to coast, acting like they're fun Pittsburgh, when I bet half of Steelers fans that you meet outside of Pittsburgh have never even been to Pittsburgh. So just going to put it out there. F Pitt, get that going, or F Baltimore, or F Cincinnati, whatever tickles your fancy.
Pittsburgh, one of the hottest spring break locations in the United States.
Yeah, I mean, there are just so many people flocking to Pittsburgh in the months of March and April right there. All right, we're going to get into another mailbag in a second. Will Davis, can Watson appeal? The NFLPA has already said they are not going to appeal this decision. They said that yesterday before a decision came out. They got to be happy with a 6-game suspension, I'd imagine, right? The NFL was trying to settle with them, and they got as low as 12 games. That's like literally deal or no deal. Imagine if you sold your case for, say, $500,000, and in exchange, you won $250,000. I mean, it just got doubly worse. So, yeah, I will say no, the NFLPA is not going to appeal this, and Deshaun Watson is not going to sue the NFL. I think he'll be happy to just take the 6 games and move on from it. We got one more mailbag coming up. This is your last chance to get your questions in. Use hashtag Browns, or if you want to skip the 300-person line, use a Super Chat feature like a handful of you guys already have today to get your question on screen and be guaranteed to have it answered during our mailbag. So, Jeremy, are we ready to rock and roll? All right, Jeremy on the ones and twos getting ready here. From Erie, an hour and a half, Pittsburgh can't stand the team. Go beat them. Yeah, shout out to you, Lafayette, because all for beating the Pittsburgh Steelers any day of the week. All right, here we go. Now, let's jump into our second and final Cleveland Browns mailbag stemming from the one and only Deshaun Watson decision. Today's Cleveland Browns report is sponsored by Mint Mobile. You may have already seen some of their ads with actor Ryan Reynolds. Well, he's got a great deal for all of you guys watching right now. With cell phone plans starting as low as $15 a month, when you go to mintmobile.com/chatsports, it's a very difficult deal to beat. That link's in the comments and the description of today's show. Plus, we'll tell you more about their great benefits and why you should switch over later on. But our first question comes in from Dr. Richard Kimball, Jason Kimball, asking, do you think the NFL appeals? That's kind of the big question right now. And the NFL has 3 days to decide whether or not they would like to appeal. I do not believe they will. I don't see the logic in agreeing under this new CBA to add arbitration and bring in an arbitrator like Judge Robinson only to appeal it to Goodell and not progress any forward. Plus, you got to remember way back when this new CBA was installed, this new policy for personal conduct policy violations, yeah, that's something the owners pushed. You know who pays the salary for Roger Goodell? The NFL owners. Connect the dots. William Schur has our next question. Over or under 35 touchdowns for Watson in the regular season? I'm going to go under. We actually can throw Deshaun Watson's 2020 stats when he last played for the Texans on screen, and you can see he had 33 touchdowns back in 2020. Now, he led the NFL in passing with 4,800 yards, but 33 touchdowns, he played the full season. If Deshaun Watson's going to be playing, 11 games, I'll say he throws 24-ish touchdowns, right? A little over 2 touchdowns a game maybe. 1 touchdown game, 3 touchdown game there. I'd pencil it closer to 22, 23 than 35. But we'll let you guys predict it. How many touchdowns for Deshaun Watson this season? Let me know what you're thinking. Shout out to producer Chugs for getting this whipped up for you guys, ASAP Rocky. But I'm curious what your predictions are. Let me know down in the comment section. Longtime viewer here at the channel, Joshua Miller, saying 5-3 into the bye. Okay, I mean, let's throw the 10-game schedule up here, and let's look at what the Browns and the handoff will be like from Brissett after 6 weeks, where I think the Browns should be able to go 4-2, minimum 3-3. And then Watson comes back week 7 and week 8, Ravens-Bengals. I'll say he splits those games. I don't like doing this prediction stuff all this way out because it's the first day of August as we are recording this live during our show following the Deshaun Watson news Monday morning. But a lot can change in 7 to 8 weeks. So if anyone tells you definitively like they're going to win this game in November, they're full of it. But yeah, week 9 bye, I could see 5-3 very much being in the cards, especially if you're 3-3 or if you're 4-2 and you split the next 2 games with Deshaun Watson. Yeah, I feel like that's not something that's you're overreaching for. Now, we've got more questions to get to in just a moment, but make sure you subscribe for the #1 Browns YouTube channel out there, in my humble opinion, and my mom's, for the best news and rumors coverage, because no one's going to be keeping you guys informed for the latest Browns news and rumors like we are here at the channel. So go to youtube.com/Browns Report, or if you're already on YouTube, just click that sub button. Josh Miller with the next question on the screen here. Add Jimmy Garoppolo only if he's released. Can get him on the cheap. The NFL appeals it to itself for a full-year suspension. Thoughts? I don't think the NFL is going to appeal this decision. Maybe by the time you're watching this, that's already been decided because as of right now, Monday morning, they only have 3 days to make a decision. I don't believe they'll entertain appealing this decision. Now, as for the idea of just adding Jimmy Garoppolo on a side note here, the Niners, I'm curious to see what they'll do because if Trey Lance is the guy, right, if he looks the part, then what do they care what happens with Jimmy Garoppolo? They got their guy, Trey Lance, right? They've got their future Hall of Fame quarterback or whatever. So if they do end up releasing him, maybe it's a little bit more appealing because you won't have to give up anything for him. But at that point, if they're releasing him, they're probably not going to do it until very late in training camp because they don't want the Seahawks, who they play in week 2, to pick him up and start against them week 1. That's something that's like deep Niners rumors. So I don't think Garoppolo ends up in Cleveland anyway. We got a non-Watson question. Oh boy. Freddie Broker, whatever it is, breaking the cycle here. If Greg Newsome is playing in the slot, I love it, this year Who would we want on the boundary? I want to see A.J. Green get some snaps. I think he can be really good. I liked A.J. Green a lot last year in preseason when he got some snaps. Now, yeah, it's going to be Newsome in the slot most likely. So then you got Ward on one end. You got an interesting battle between Greedy Williams and the rookie, Martin Emerson. Williams is most likely going to win that job. I'd put like a 95% chance. But A.J. Green is going to be a very good depth corner where if he's your CB4, you're looking at a guy who is probably going to make him a name for himself in Cleveland and be able to cash in somewhere else where it's like, hey, the Browns are like, we love you, but we've already are pretty tied up with Ward, Newsome, and Emerson. We're not going to give you the bag. But you're right. I think A.J. Green is one of those real Browns, not saying fake Browns fans, but like if you watch Browns training camp preseason football, you're like, that A.J. Green guy, he can play. Now, I told you at the top of the show, today's sponsor, Mint Mobile, has great benefits, and I want to share those benefits with you now. Not only do you get unlimited talk and text, but you get high-speed data on the nation's largest 5G network, or 4G, depending on what is best for you wherever you are. Plus, if you're trying to work abroad right now, you don't want to work from home, you're trying to watch the Browns report on the road, they've got mobile hotspots for you with plans starting as low as $15 a month. You can't beat it. So get started right now. See what the actor who owns this company, Ryan Reynolds, is all about. When you go to mintmobile.com/chatsports, that link for everyone is in the comments and the description of today's show. Get your 15-day plan coverage starting right now at mintmobile.com/chatsports. Next question comes in from Zach Schefter. Watson will have to deal with the Ravens stacked secondary. Yeah. Marcus Peters, Marlon Humphrey, Kyle Fuller, that's kind of the new trio right now in Baltimore, and they get a healthy trio back. So it's not ideal to have your first game be against Baltimore. I'm going to go out and say it because if the Browns lose with Watson, it's just more like bulletin board material. If you've got a Ravens fan in your friend group or your family or whatever, that's just going to like hang over you until the Browns play the Ravens later on at First Energy. I'd rather play the Dolphins or the Jets Week 7 if Watson's returning from a 6-game suspension, but I'll take a 6-game suspension nevertheless. Now, speaking of the Ravens, speaking of the Crows, what team do you hate the most? Personally, I understand the Art Modell reasoning for the Baltimore Ravens, but Pittsburgh Steelers makes a lot of sense to me too. So I'm going to go with F. Pitt down in the comment section, but I'm curious what team you hate the most. Let me know down below. Mark with a very, very good question that is being overlooked because of all the news today. Should the Browns pick up a wide receiver? Well, let's quickly run through the guys who've been hurt after 1 week of training camp. Javon Wims is dealing with an illness right now. Not very specific, but that's just a training camp arm, not an arm, but like, someone to throw to. You need that kind of stuff to keep drills and, the level of excellence moving along. So you got Javon Wims, Anthony Schwartz, he's dealing with a knee injury. David Bell is dealing with a foot injury. You saw, unfortunately, one of my favorite UDFA signings out there, Isaiah Weston. He's dealing with an ACL injury. That's 4 guys. Like, you need bodies in there to catch the football from 4 quarterbacks. So I think the Browns will probably make a signing soon, not because of they want to improve the receiver room, but at some point you're like, we got to have guys run these drills. Whether or not we actually view them as real roster potential, we just need people out here to keep the line moving. So we're going to see more for Demetric Felton probably work with the wide receivers, which is good for him because he needs that opportunity to crack this 53-man roster. But yeah, I'm very much open to signing a wide receiver. My question is it like a Will Fuller, a T.Y. Hilton, Cole Beasley signing? Okay, here we go. Ohio Biker, sign Fuller, right? Is the signing going to be a higher statute, or is it going to be one of those like, who? Oh, he played 3 games for the Raiders last year, and no one's really ever heard of him. One of those kind of like cheap, we don't want to put a big, news wave through, through the ocean here of Browns media. We'd rather just go with a lower key name. Question coming in from my friend Ryan, who's always tuning into our live shows, by the way, which are Thursdays at 4 Eastern. Will Watson be a Hall of Famer? It's tough. Well, it's tough to predict that. Now, I will add this. I saw this the other day. Only like 4 quarterbacks have been added to the Hall of Fame the last handful of years. So my thing is this. The precedent for quarterbacks being added to the Hall of Fame was pretty low when you saw the numbers they put up in the 70s and 80s. Nowadays, Kirk Cousins, if you did his stats against some guys in the Hall of Fame, he has Hall of Fame numbers. So how will the Hall of Fame kind of twist from, yeah, it used to be easier for a quarterback to get in if you had X amount of passing yards and touchdowns. Now you need a little bit more than that. It's impossible to say for a guy who is entering, year 5 in the NFL? Year 5, 6, drafted back in 2017. So we'll find out. My guess is he's got to win playoff games. I won't go all the way so you have to win a Super Bowl to make the Hall of Fame. It definitely cements it, I would say, if he wins a Super Bowl. If you're the Cleveland Browns quarterback to win a Super Bowl, you're getting into the Hall of Fame when it also is in Canton, Ohio. All right, Scott Wood with our next question. What is the worst record the Browns can have with Jacoby and still make the playoffs? Well, we can throw the 6 games up on screen here. Shout out to Jeremy. Let's say this is worst case scenario. Baker beats the Browns week 1. Revenge game, and he capitalized on it. Week 2, they bounce back, they win at home. They lose to the Steelers, and now they're 1-2. They beat the Falcons, they're 2-2. And they lose to the Chargers, they're 2-3. And Belichick comes back to beat the Browns, they're 2-4. I think that's probably too tall of a mountain to climb. 2-4 seems very tough to come back from, especially when you look around the AFC. You know that the wild card spots, there's not going to be a team like the Eagles last year or the Bears the year before with 8, 9 wins that makes the AFC playoffs this year. There's going to be a 10-win team that misses out on tiebreakers. If you're 2-4, I think that's just too tall of an order to ask for Deshaun Watson to lead a comeback from and only lose 1-2 games the rest of the season. But let me know what your record prediction is now for the Browns. Now that we know what it's going to be for the first 6 weeks of the season, does that change it for you? Or are you sticking the same and you think, hey, Jacoby Brissett's going to go 4-2? I thought Watson actually would end up going 4-2. They may not be prettier wins with Jacoby Brissett, but the result will still be the same, a W. Let me know what you're thinking down below. Last question coming in from Adam Wallace. Will Cam Newton get signed for the first 6 games? Oh, boy. This is going to get a lot of people clicking on some titles here. I do not think so. You entertained adding a 4th quarterback with Josh Rosen versus A.J. McCarron, right? You picked Rosen. If you were interested in Cam Newton, that probably would have been the time to bring him in. So I don't think Cam Newton coming in at this point is all that likely. I won't say it's a 0% chance because you're dealing with your backup quarterback here. So if Jacoby Brissett starts to stumble throughout the preseason and training camp, maybe Stefanski and Barry will go, yeah, let's add some more competition to this room. Before we sign off out of here, make sure to follow me on Twitter at Matthew Petey to get more Browns coverage. I really appreciate all the support and love you guys could show me over on Twitter.com. So check me out at Matthew Petey for more Browns news and rumors coverage. All right, let's show some comments on screen here. Browns are the villains of the 2022 season, and I love it. From Pee-wee's Blueberry. Are they the villains? Here's the thing. Anyone says that the Browns are the villains of this year, like, how, I guess so. Mitchell Renz is shaking his head here. He runs they're what? I guess I got some bias here. But here's the thing. How can you be the villains of a season when you won 1 game over 2 years not that long ago? 24 reasons. Haven't heard that joke before. I think if you are an 0-16 and then a 1-15 team, like, I don't see a way you're the villains not that much long later. All right. I'm just putting it out there. All right. Ricochet TV. 2-4 wouldn't be hard to come back from we giving up after 6 games. Well, no, but I think even if Deshaun Watson started the season and they went 2-4, and you looked around the AFC, it'd be tough to come back from, right? So, I think 2-4 is just too tall of a mountain, like I said, and this loaded AFC to come back from. Zach Wolf, well, I guess I lost everything and now I'm broke. Oh, I think what Zach's referencing here is a while ago he talked about how he was betting everything on Deshaun Watson getting a 0-game suspension, and I said, I would not. I mean, I don't like that I was right about this, but during during our at-home video yesterday, no Polo Petey, very rare sighting, had a T-shirt on. I said 6 games, and ended up being kind of what we all thought all along. You just had to stick to it. You know what this was? This whole cycle was kind of like a murder mystery, where the murderer ended up being who you thought it was at the beginning, and they just threw all these different decoys and distractions at you along the way. And at the end, you're like, so we ended up where we started, which was 6 games here. All right, we'll get some more comments on screen. We still got 248 people watching, so I just want to view this as an opportunity for you guys to chat, get your question on screen, and we'll just chit-chat about this
I just got to say, betting that is like you being at the roulette table and be like, you know what, I'm going to put it all on black. And Zach's like, no. Put it all on 17.
Not even 17. Put it all on 00. Like, green? That's a sorcerer right there. Never bet on green. I hate when people bet on green. All right, Gregory H. Should the Browns run more while he's suspended? Yeah. I would be upset if we're doing live Browns games week 3 and it's like you had Jacoby Brissett throw the ball 45 times and Nick Chubb had 6 carries in the first half. You should absolutely lean on the running back who just like squatted 610 pounds and made the bell look like a pool noodle, and Kareem Hunt, who's your backup running back, that would be a starter on majority of teams. Oh, and Dearness Johnson has got some fresh legs too. One of the best running back 3s out there. So yeah, I'm expecting this team to adapt and look a little bit honestly like last year. It'll be interesting to see how Stefanski changes things once Watson returns. Terrell Smith, loaded AFC means lower record. These loaded teams got to play each other. That is a good point, right? You're going to be killing yourself within a little bit here. Now, I still think it holds true of, we've seen, like, for example, since the NFL expanded to 17 playoffs, I can go through the 7 teams, all 4 of them, right? 2020, NFC, you had the Bears, who were 8-8. They were not a playoff team, right? And that was obvious. The Colts were the AFC team, and they looked like a playoff team. They gave the Bills a run for their money in that first game. Now, last year you had the Eagles go 9-8. They got ass whooped by the Bucs. Not a playoff team. They just weren't, but they benefited from 7 teams. The Browns, and then the AFC last year, the 7 team. Who was the 17th last year in the AFC? Yeah, who played the Raiders. Oh, the Raiders! The Raiders were not a playoff team last year. They were. I'm saying, yes, they made the playoffs, but they were not a playoff team. They got curb stomped against the Bengals, and all of Raider Nation's like, why did they blow that whistle? It was erroneous in the end zone, okay? Yeah, I get it. They got screwed, but they were not a playoff caliber football team. And so Mitchell Renz, our Raiders reporter, is shaking his head, but he knows it's true. They were not a playoff team last year. So what I'm saying here is, yes, they will break each other down from within, but still, I think 10 wins, you're going to have a team miss the playoffs like we've seen before.
We have to admit, though, that Sunday night football game between the Chargers and the Raiders to get in the playoffs, electric.
Yeah, it was a great football game. Oh, you don't remember it? Wait. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Raider Nation, Raider Ron. All right, here we go. PD Polos, yeah, I know. We were talking about this at work today, swapping out the Bernie heads for polos, but no, the Bernie heads are too elite to take down. All right, another question coming in from Soul Train. Hopefully they can improve the defensive line before the regular season. That's kind of funny that we get all this right now, but we still have like some holes that need to be filled right now, which is a lot of injuries at wide receiver and skimping out on defensive line, sort of, and how are they going to look, right? Here's the way I look at the defensive line. I don't have much of a grievance if your starting 2 are Taven Bryan and Jordan Elliott. Are they top 16, right? They're not in the top half of the league, probably around 20-ish. And for Andrew Berry, that's fine. He is baiting you to run the football towards Jadeveon Clowney or Myles Garrett, and he will take the losses on the ground because he knows most teams are passing the football anyway. So if you want to run this team against us, we're not going to be the worst run defense, but we're definitely not going to be the best. But my issue is you rotate your defensive linemen often. Those big guys need some breaks. What's it going to look like with Tommy Togiai and a rookie like Perion Winfrey, who I'm super high on, but it is a rookie nonetheless? What about when they're getting a lot of reps? Is that going to be something? Like, all of a sudden, is it going to be like, oh, shit, Togiai's on the field, guarantee a run up the middle for 5 yards? That's what I'm curious to see. All right, we got a question coming from Ryan.
One thing, Raiders were the 5th seed.
They were the 5th seed?
Steelers were the 7th seed.
Oh, my God, I did a whole tangent and I was wrong.
Yeah.
That's why Mitch is mad at me here. Right, because
they
so old takes exposed.
Oh,
The glass door does not help me here, but yeah. So I gotta serve. I need to be suspended from the show.
Secondly, I guess Mitch sent out the bat signal because as soon as you mentioned Mitch and the Raiders, a Raider fan went in the chat and said, "LOL, they won 10 games. The Raiders earned their way in, buddy."
Oh yeah, big time. I mean, the Raiders earned their way in because Carson Wentz was Carson Wentz Week 18 in Jacksonville. That is how they earned their way in right there. But, wow. So I'm suspended from my own show for getting that wrong. But, yeah, the Steelers actually even helps my argument even more. The Steelers were worse than the Raiders last year. I'll put it that way. I was harsh on the Raiders. The Steelers sucked. So I'm suspended for a couple seconds here. Yeah.
Moment of silence.
No, you answer this question while I serve my suspension. I'm going to
All
submit.
right. One question suspension.
Yep.
Browns, T.Y. Hilton for Jacoby. I'm not sure about that just because I think there might be a better wide receiver option than T.Y. Hilton. But, I mean, if you can get him on a really cheap 1-year deal, I mean, there is a connection there. Like Petey mentioned before, the wide receiver room is a little bit depleted with injuries. So if you get him on the vet minimum, I mean, it's kind of one of those things of like, why not? If it's anything more, if it's a more lucrative contract, I say no. Because personally, I think Emmanuel Sanders still has a little bit more juice in him than T.Y. Hilton. But if you're looking for that connection, the first 6 games, have a reliable wide receiver, I don't hate it.
Suspension serve.
All right,
I had lots to say there, but I can't do it because I got suspended. I'm suspended. We got some more questions to kind of throw on screen here. We'll just chat and, Also, I meant to verbalize this earlier, and I kind of forgot. Isn't it sort of funny that Mike Florio told all of us that, and not just Mike Florio, but a lot of people said, you can expect a Deshaun Watson news dump on a Friday going into a holiday weekend. Sue Robinson said, hold my beer. I'm going to do it at the most opportune time for media and not for the league. I'm doing it Monday morning when everyone's starting the week. I think that is relatively interesting. I am sure the NFL said, could you please do this Friday at 8 p.m. and it will just gain less traction? And she said, no, I'll do it Monday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern time, 8 Central. Everyone will wake up and start their day with this, and it will just completely monopolize the entire week.
She said, I'll have my intern send in the facts as soon as he gets in.
Here we go. Make sure you subscribe, by the way. We are closing in on, we got, Little Fred. I'm so sorry, Little Fred. Should we get a vet receiver now that Jacoby is officially out here for 6 games? So I'm going to take this as an opportunity to appeal my own suspension. Here's the thing with T.Y. Hilton. Remember, him and Jacoby Brissett were teammates back in 2019 in Indianapolis. In fact, T.Y. Hilton and Jacoby Brissett had a good repertoire for a couple of weeks until Hilton got hurt. Now, T.Y. got neck surgery, a neck injury to start last year. Did not look like the underrated T.Y. Hilton we all know him to be. My guess is, kind of just reading from what I'm hearing, is if he was still really hurt from that neck injury, he probably would have retired. The fact that he hasn't retired, he believes, I'm still in football shape, I'm still serviceable, right? I'm guessing a team will bring him in for a workout. May not even be during training camp, but at some point during the regular season, if someone gets hurt, they're going to be like, now's not the time to go out and experience what a UDFA could bring to us during training camp. Let's go a more proven route, and that's when I think T.Y. will probably get signed. I'm guessing he'll get picked up at least once and brought in for a workout at the very least here. I mean, Tack McKinley got brought into Dallas to work out the Cowboys. They have not signed him, but it just goes to show, I mean, different points in their career, but Tack's coming off an Achilles injury. If he was able to get a workout, I think T.Y. is probably going to be able to get a workout, and maybe that's the route the Browns go, Lil Fred, for bringing in a veteran receiver for Jacoby Brissett. Josh Miller, can Petey's suspension be appealed per the Chat Sports CBA? So it was a self-induced suspension, so I would be appealing it to myself, and I decline. I reject the appeal. No soup. Dirk. Cole Beasley, Odell Beckham. If OBJ comes back and wears number 6, oh boy. JOK, I think, is going to take that number next year, though. On a side note here, he did not want to pay to have all the jerseys that are already made with him be bought out of the stores and produce new ones. So I'm thinking next year. That's what he wore at Notre Dame, by the way. Cole Beasley, I think Cole Beasley would be maybe the most logical signing in terms of what do you need right now in terms of an actual receiver? You want a slot guy because David Bell's hurt, and that's who you drafted to replace Jarvis Landry. Cole Beasley could be that guy. Now, Beasley was sneaky productive for the Bills. Last year, there was a drop-off in terms of yards after catch and his average per reception. To me, it showed he was, the sex bots. Oh, boy. Here we go. Spam B to block the bots. Spam B to block the bots here. They're horny, and they have local single ladies in your area. They don't even know where you live, but they know that they're in your area. Spam B to block the bots here. But Cole Beasley, I think, would make probably the most amount of sense in terms of that. But like I was saying, last year, the drop-off in yards after catch and the reception, to me, that signaled, yeah, I'm getting old in my career. When I catch this football, I'm not going to try to run through 2 people. And that may not be what Andrew Berry's looking for if he wants to sign someone who's like, yeah, I'm pretty open of I'm later in my career, I'm trying to protect myself, which no knock against him for doing that, but that might factor into Andrew Berry's decision of what wide receiver he could be looking for here. All right, we're going to wrap it up in just a second here probably. Unless we get any super chats. That's the way it works. If you guys super chat, we keep the party going here. We'll break all this down. Well, not really a party. We keep this news channel going here right now for you guys and get more questions on screen, and we can talk about the Brownies and whatnot. So let me know what you guys are thinking here. Sabri, yeah. Make sure you subscribe, by the way, here. I'm getting lost in the chat here to blocking the bots here. But we're trying to get to 11,000 subscribers by week 1. That's my goal right now. So if you're looking for a Browns YouTube channel, you don't have to look much further. Just click that sub button, and boom, you guys are going to be locked in for free daily Browns content. So make sure you subscribe today. All right. Am I going to get suspended for not wearing a polo yesterday? No. It is shocking, I know, but I went no polo yesterday. Crazy twist of events, but ultimately I wore the bland blue polo today. All right, follow me on Twitter for more updates at Matthew Petey. That way you guys never really miss out on what's going on with the Cleveland Browns. Another good Browns Twitter follow to add to your list right there. If you're looking for more Browns coverage, I got you covered. So Jeremy's got some work to do. I think we're going to sign out and start our Monday morning here at Chat Sports. Stay tuned. We're going to be putting out more videos and whatnot, of course, throughout the week here. Probably I'm going to be shooting to put out another one later today of get to know Jacoby Brissett a little bit better because that's going to be the quarterback for 6 weeks. So follow me over there at Matthew Petey, and appreciate all of you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you all week 7. No, we'll see you guys week 1 against the Carolina Panthers.